Hi everyone, welcome to our MOOC today. We have a really exciting MOOC planned for us today. It's focusing on tech as a force for good with VMware. VMware focuses on offering digital solutions for their clients for customer services and end user experiences. Backstage today we have me, Krupa. I'm a Code First Girls brand ambassador. I've done several CFG courses and they've been really helpful in my career, so I'm really looking forward to giving back to the community as a brand ambassador. Today we have two presenters with us today, so I will just introduce them onto the stream. Hi, welcome to the MOOC.
Hello, thank you. Hi, my name is Maya. Hi, I'll go first. We have Anvi and Mamuna here as well. My name is Maya. I am a Senior Manager Solutions Engineering. What that means in simple English is heading a pre-sales engineering team, supporting our salespeople. I do have an icebreaker, but I'll save it for after the introductions, and I'll let Anvi and Mamuna go next.
I'll go next. So hi everyone, my name's Mamuna. I am an associate solution engineer here at VMware. I joined a little over a year ago and I'm actually based out in Barcelona in Spain. Again, I'll do an icebreaker as well to introduce myself a little bit more shortly as well.
Perfect. And hi everyone, my name is Anvi. I'm also a solution engineer. I've been at VMware for nearly 2.5 years, and I'll be doing an icebreaker shortly as well.
Brilliant. Let's get started with the session. So I'll start sharing your screen.
Just 1 second. It's the presentation, if you don't mind. There we go. Thank you very much. So yes, sorry, we were supposed to be joined by Marie, who is our university relationship manager, and last minute she didn't feel well, so she had to drop out. We'll be happy to field any questions or point you in the right direction at the end of the section, at the end of our bit. And with that, I'll do the icebreaker and the brain teaser. So if you look at this picture. Could you tell me how many threes and groups of threes can you see? And if you could send us your answers in the comments, it would be great to hear from you today. I can't see anything coming through. Any answers? Any guesses? Are there any comments coming through? Oh, there we go. Hello. 13, yes. I think it's slightly higher. 9, I think it's a bit higher than that. So threes, all groups of threes. Anybody seeing 16? More than 16? 15? Good. I'll give you a clue. It's actually more than 15. Any more? No? Let me reveal the answers. So let's see. Oops. Apologies. It is not moving at the moment. I need to stop sharing just for a second. There, can you see that? It's actually 23. So there's a lot of groups of threes, a lot of threes and a lot of groups of threes. There's some well-hidden threes there underneath the 4 and up in the corners on the left and the right-hand corner. I will kick off the section on artificial intelligence and machine learning. I know that quite a lot of people have heard about artificial intelligence and machine learning, and they're often used interchangeably, but what do they really mean? And are they the same? So just to kick off, I'm going to ask you to scan the QR code here on the left, or go to menti.com and use the code at the bottom there, 81838283. And if you could let me know, what do you hear when you what comes to your mind when you hear words such as AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning?
If you could
And
switch over to the other
yeah,
screen, that would be great.
so let's hear it from you. What comes to your mind when somebody says artificial intelligence?
You can also submit more than once if you have multiple kind of answers.
Anything? So you scan the code. Oh, there, robots. Yes, yes, certainly. What else? Did you manage to get the code, by the way? Menti.com. Future. Wow. Yes. Ease. Making things easier. Search engines. Yes. Automation. Yeah, absolutely. Certainly. Tech numbers. Simple life. Definitely. And they're all true. They're absolutely all true. They're all in some shape or form related to artificial intelligence and machine learning. Assistance, yeah. Any more? Oh, I can see some in the comments as well. Learning logical. World domination, yes. Especially if you read some of the sci-fi books and watched some of the movies. Anything else? No? Right, let me kick off. So you are all correct. You are all correct. They're in some shape or form all related to machine learning and artificial intelligence. So the two terms are used interchangeably, but they're actually not the same. Artificial intelligence is all-encompassing. It's basically anything that mimics human intelligence and behavior can be termed as artificial intelligence. Machine learning is actually a subset of artificial intelligence. And then as we go further and we look at different mathematical models, algorithms, regressions, neural networks, and so on, then we look at the deep learning. And also, if you work your way from right to left, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning, we started talking about artificial intelligence in the 1950s, really. But they were mostly academic and academic discussions, really, because we couldn't do a lot for a number of reasons. With more sophisticated machine learning inventions and also some of the techniques, we were able to do more and more in time. And then more recently, probably in the last 15 to 20 years, we've actually started doing a lot more with deep learning and neural networks. And what that does is basically mimics the way human brain works. We don't tell the machine how to learn or what it's supposed to do. All we do is we give it an input and an output, and then it learns on its own. And the more it learns, it's self-learning, the better it gets with time. A little bit like human brain. Before I actually go to the next slide, there's two types of machine learning, rather to artificial intelligence. It's narrow and wideband artificial intelligence, and everything you see around us is actually narrowband. It's kind of like one-trick ponies. It's speech to text, text to speech recognition. It's things like digital image processing and so on. Wideband AI is actually functioning and thinking and behaving like humans, and machine learning and artificial intelligence at this point in time is not able to do that. So I'll go through a couple of examples, and I'm surprised. I actually expected somebody to say more about self-driving cars there in that poll, because that always pops up, self-driving cars and autonomous vehicles. And that's actually one of the more complex examples of machine learning and artificial intelligence. The reason for that is because it encompasses a number of techniques, machine learning techniques, and not just machine learning, but robotics and automation and so on. Just as an interest, it took the researchers 2 years to actually understand and learn the images when it's raining or when it's snowing, because understanding the images when the weather is clear, it's very easy. But any changes to the weather in terms of rainfall or snowfall, it made a huge difference. And the accuracy of what they were seeing and interpreting was very, very, very different. We see a lot of machine learning and have been seeing in the last at least 20, 30 years in healthcare, especially in the digital image processing, in helping diagnosis of different conditions, of understanding the images. For example, a human eye can only see 64 shades of gray. Our dogs can see 256, and machines can see easily well over 200,000. Just because we can't see it with our naked eye doesn't mean it's not there. And this is where machine learning and digital image processing has done huge amounts of progress to make sure that we are able to diagnose conditions and diseases and so on. We see it, especially in the last 2 years, we see it a lot in the learning, self-adaptive learning that adapts based on the type of the learner that is aiming at. So some people are more visual, some are more practical, the others like to write things down, and also depending on what you're comfortable with, what you know, what you don't know, the learning can be self-adaptive and self-learning just to target specific users. We've seen a lot more of that in the last 2 years, specifically because we've moved a lot of learning to remote learning. And then in retail, and I'm sure if you ever used Amazon, you would have seen that based on the choices that you've made, you will get certain recommendations. But it's not just recommendations. In retail, we see AI applications in customer loyalty management. We see it in marketing campaigns. We see it in smart shopping baskets. And in the background, people use it a lot for inventory management. But more recently, I don't know if you've had a chance, there's a lot of it used for virtual fitting rooms and trial mirrors. They're quite funky, so you can actually go and choose the some of the, I don't know, dresses, tops, and so on, and you can actually do a virtual fitting room based on just on the remote consultation, and it's quite funky. And some of the more straightforward and very easy examples of machine learning and AI are Siri on any iPhone that you might have, or Amazon Echo Dot and Alexa that quite a lot of people have and use. It is quite straightforward because it's speech to text recognition, and then it's just searching through the databases in the background. So why now, if AI has been around since 1950s, why is it taking off now? And I can use my personal example. I went to university over 20 years ago, and I did my undergraduate thesis on neural networks. And it was only something that you could do in academia. You couldn't get the data. You needed very specialized processing equipment. You could only do it in a specialized labs. It took time, and you definitely needed to know and understand how the machine learning works and different techniques and algorithms and regressions and so on. Nowadays, you don't need that. You can just go to Google, you can pick off different models, and you can just try based on the data that you have. You can do it on any device, really, even on your phone. You don't need specialized equipment to do it. And also the data is absolutely everywhere. It's on your smartphones. It comes through so many inputs. The data that I was using for my research thesis, I had to download 300 digital images they were mammograms. It took me 2 weeks to download 300 images, 2 meg each. And if you have a smartphone, it easily generates images much bigger than 2 meg. And to transfer that as kind of images, you can do that in a couple of minutes, or sub minute, depending on what kind of network you have. And at that time, it took over 2 weeks. So you can see how the technology has advanced and how the innovation is now so much more accessible. And this is just to reiterate. So artificial intelligence started in the 90s, 50s, 90s, 60s. We started talking about it. It was very much an academic exercise. And then with time, we got better. We understood more. We were able to define new methods, and it was just much more accessible than it is today. And we're continuing, the pace of innovation is just ramping up. So where does VMware fit in, and how does machine learning and AI fit in with VMware, and how does it fit for in terms of tech for good? So I just wanted to use 2 examples. I didn't want to use specific product details, because unless you work with VMware products, you wouldn't know. But what we do is we design software products, and some of our software products are used for performance monitoring and analytics of customers' networks, and the machine learning and artificial intelligence in the background of those products actually looks at data trending. It looks what the network patterns look like during the days, weeks, months, and years, to understand what normal looks like. So when we see abnormal behavior, we recognize it as abnormal behavior. We optimize the network. We optimize the performance of the network. So there's a lot of data in the background. So the more data you have, the better you are at analyzing and understanding that data. Obviously, the better the tools you are able to provide for our customers. And the second example is this image of body language. Even when we don't talk, our body language tells a story. And then you can see the 4 images, or rather 1 image of the same lady. It's the same with security, cybersecurity. So we've all heard about different hack attacks and Trojans and malware and so on. In many cases in cybersecurity products, you will actually get attacked, or you will get security breaches of something that you've never ever seen before. And it's understanding what normal behavior looks like and what's abnormal for the network. But also in cybersecurity, a lot of data is actually encrypted. So you can't see what's inside, but you can tell a lot about how that data is behaving, how the packets look like, who's talking to who, what ports they're using on. So the same concept applies. So the data, or rather the traffic, tells us a story, even if we can't see the details of the payload. And that's the end of my session. And with that, I'll hand it over to Anvi. Anvi? Anvi, are you with us?
If you just want to present your slides, then I can add them on.
It's still. I'm driving the slides. We just need Anvi to come off mute.
She might have internet problems. Oh, there we go. She's here.
Yes, we had a few internet issues today, but all here now. Thanks for that. So now that we've covered, let's say, AI and ML, what I wanted to speak to you today was about virtual reality and augmented reality. Now, I have a few videos and stuff that I do want to showcase today. But before I do show that, I just want to quickly go over what the difference is between the two, because it's not always as it seems. So virtual reality is actually when it completely takes over your complete vision. So it gives you the impression that you're somewhere else. So there's devices out there such as, let's say, the Oculus Rift, HTC Vive, and these are completely designed to block out external light. So it helps you provide this immersive experience. Now, when we think about augmented reality, it's a little bit different. So virtual really replaces your vision, whereas augmented really adds to it. So augmented devices such as the HoloLens and various other devices act like a weak pair of glasses. They allow you to see everything in your field of vision. So the AR technology then projects the images onto the field of view. A really good example is Pokemon Go, if you've ever played it. So AR displays can offer something as simple as a data overlay that shows you the time to something as complicated as holograms floating in the middle of a room. Another example that I do have is, so if you are Star Wars fans and have seen Star Wars, the Jedi Council. So in this movie, they have certain characters that appear to join the room as a hologram and allows them to communicate with each other. So this can be used by, let's say, government officials in the future to attend meetings. It could also be a solution to be able to attend places and areas without breaking lockdown rules if you're in a place where you still have a bit of a lockdown going on. So yeah, there's a lot of things that can be used for it. Now, if you look at the screen right now, you can look at engineering. So we can now transform good old paper designs into a interactive, playful designs that a user can understand in much more detail. So elements like 4D, which is on Android and iOS. You can get Augdat, which is one of the few applications that's currently available for Android and iOS to help you learn about various subject areas from medical science to maths to chemistry. So whatever you're interested in engineering, there's loads of apps and applications out there that help you do this. Another example of AR is that you can now use your camera to scan for text in another language and then translate it into English or your native language. So trying to make it easier for you to communicate and translate everything from the lens of your camera, which I think is pretty cool, won't lie. And another thing I did want to quickly mention was headsets. So if we go on to just the next slide, there is this Microsoft HoloLens. Now, it's a pair of mixed reality smart glasses. They're developed and manufactured by Microsoft. And this is an incredible way to achieve, let's say, the Iron Man environment. So the possibilities of this technology is pretty much endless, and it's bringing computers to the edge. Now, the HoloLens 2, for instance, it actually offers the most comfortable and immersive mixed reality experience. So if you do have one at home or want to get one, feel free to. There's also the Google Cardboard, so which is a much more, I think it's like £15, and you can pretty much get the same sort of experience as well if you want to try AR or VR. As you can see, another thing is geography. So now you can travel the world from the comfort of your couch. So you can scan the surrounding with your camera and you can show directions. So you can have a virtual college tour, which is a great option to get acquainted with your college in the future. So the University of Michigan actually adopted VR so that they can show potential students their campus, and especially people who are professionally trying to play football, they can experience what it feels like to be on a pitch in a full stadium, which is definitely helpful. Another area that I did want to talk about today was how the way education is delivered. So AR and VR has actually transformed the way education is actually delivered, because it includes the way we educate and train our medical staff and everyone in the medical industry, which I'll cover a little bit deeper in a second. But at the moment, AR technology is very useful for procedures outside of the operation rooms, because whilst you're in an operation room, patients usually have a team of medical staff, all of whom have been briefed at the time for medical imaging. For example, you can see a display which shows you patients' allergies in a warning or potential interactions between drugs. So this is really some really cool stuff that you can do. And as you can see just in the video that was being played, it gives you a nice little example of what can be done with the HoloLens. So yeah, these features do help make surgery and life-changing operations much more quicker and potentially increase the chance of success as well. AR technology can also help doctors to see what's under a patient's skin without having to cut them open. So it can actually help doctors determine exactly where to make incisions or give injections. A display might even provide instructions, for example, where to push for CPR or where the targets for repair lie. Now, next one I want to cover, I think would be really useful for most of you here. Now, this is an application that I personally came across was virtual speech. Now, this is an app that gives users the platform to present in front of a realistic virtual audience through various scenarios. You are then assessed by the app and it provides you feedback. Now, I think this is a great way to improve, let's say, your public speaking skills for the future. And especially with the last 2 years of, not being able to have mass events or I've personally lost my public speaking skills that aren't as great as they used to be. So this sort of stuff can really help you keep your skills intact and get better, essentially. And I do have a little video of just shows you how quick and easy it is. So if we can just go to the next slide and hopefully we can just play the video. So as you can see, you're told exactly how well you're doing, and you have different scenarios. So whether you're speaking in an open theater or speaking in a classroom, it's a great way to practice. And pretty amazing stuff, I'll say. So yeah, if you want to take part in this stuff, you can. It's quite easily accessible as well. And now we're here from VMware, and I just want to quickly say that innovation is something that we at VMware do as well. So we try and take advantage of the latest technical developments in order to innovate in the area of enterprise computing. So one of the areas that we're investing in is spatial computing, which is giving you the opportunity to deliver productivity benefits to our customers and their employees. We have a lot of projects inside which are where we work on VR and AR, helping you accelerate the adoption and integration and management within the enterprise. So there are quite a few things that we do at VMware as well, which includes AR and VR. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of what AR and VR does, some of the apps that are currently out there. And if you do want to know what else you can do, feel free to just message me, and there's a lot of stuff that you can get involved with. And if you love coding, there's a lot of apps you can build yourself using AR and VR as well. But yeah, that's all from me today.
Perfect. Thanks, Anvi. So the final session will be on 5G. So before I start, I want to ask if you guys could go back onto the Menti and enter the code, or you can scan the QR code. And I want to hear your thoughts on what you think, what are your thoughts when you first hear 5G? I'm not sure if you can switch slides. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure if you can, because I want to show you guys. I want to hear what your thoughts are and see what kind of thoughts we have together on that. Speed, great. That's, I think, a key one with 5G. Conspiracy theories, connection. I think the conspiracy theories we all know too well. Access. Communication. These are really great. All relating to 5G. Minus, I mean, it's questionable about the conspiracy theories, but yeah, radiation, communication, connection. Yep, these are also great. Thank you guys for your suggestions on what you think when you hear 5G, and hopefully by the end of the session you'll know a little bit more about 5G and how it's how it's working for the tech of good. If we could go back onto the presentation. Perfect. So essentially, after this quick talk, you'll learn a little bit more about the 5G technology. How is it making a change in the digital world, and how is it also helping industry? And then we'll show you a video at the end in terms of how VMware is helping with the future of 5G. So if we go next. So what we're seeing at the moment is that we're having a really rapidly changing environment. We're seeing a lot more in the digital era. So we're seeing loads of different data being generated by different devices that are connected to the internet. So we have devices like Internet of Things, which is anything and every device that's actually connected to the internet. We have sensors and also smart devices. And what we're seeing is that because all these devices are now being connected to the internet, there's a whole load of data being processed in and out. And we're using advanced analytics such as AI and ML, which Maya mentioned earlier, to be able to manage the explosion of all these types of devices and the connection of these devices. So one thing that these devices are missing is that 5G component. And that 5G component is going to be able to unleash the power of all that data. So 5G isn't just about, mobile services that you see from different kind of cellular companies, but it's also about being able to connect those different applications and the devices out of the edge. So here you can see where it all began. How did we even get to 5G in the first place? So we obviously started off with 1G, which is one of the first analog cell phones that actually entered into the world. And then later on, we see 2G, and 2G looks at into more of a wireless network, which is more designed for more primary voice and texting as well. And then we see 3G. Now, 3G made a big change because this allowed consumers to be able to access 3G through their smartphones and be able to have different types of web browsing and applications to be able to be accessed through 3G. Then we see 4G, and 4G took it one step further when it came to connectivity and bandwidth. And this technology enabled new services where we see more social media and streaming of applications, and seeing mainstreaming services like WhatsApp being shown within the 4G space. And so now what we're seeing is people having more of a broadband service, but with 4G connectivity. And then finally, we see 5G. Now, 5G took the world by storm in 2019 when it came to be one of the most speediest wireless network technologies. So again, we saw earlier in the word cloud that speed was a big one, and speed is one of the main drivers of 5G. And every generation is going to be faster than the first one, so that way you can get more real-time responses. So if you go to the next slide. I just want to show you guys a little bit about what 5G is and touch on some of these points. So we're seeing 4G was really good in terms of being able to enable that connectivity, but it wasn't able to meet the scale of the growing kind of digital world. We're seeing more and more devices being connected to different networks, but again, the 4G wasn't being able to be as agile as in order to kind of keep up with it. So 5G is being designed to meet that need for the speed, the reliability, the connectivity. And I just want to show you guys some use cases around 5G. So the first one is called enhanced massive broadband. Now think of this as being like the new internet. So it's to be able to provide that high bandwidth. So then it can have those use cases such as augmented reality and virtual reality that Anvi just mentioned, allowing you to have gaming and HD streaming as well. And then we have machine to machine connectivity. This is focusing on more about connectivity of those devices, as having as many devices connected to the 5G network. And so this would be able to range from different kind of devices, whether they be smart watches or more industrial Internet of Things. So let's say in factories, if they have smart devices, or even looking at smart cities as well and smart factories. And then we have ultra reliable low latency. Now, what that means is being able to have low latency connectivity for more mission critical kind of workloads. So we might have cars and industrial applications or robotics that want to be, that way we can enable that connectivity for them. So that way we can enable that 5G would be one of the most fastest, most robust technologies that we've ever seen. If you go next. So you've seen now a little bit about what 5G is and some of those use cases, but now I want to focus a little bit more about how 5G is helping with some of these industries. So at the moment, we're seeing an industrial revolution. Now, we've had industrial revolutions in the past, so I just want to break down what that means. So, industrial revolutions essentially is being able to alter, or have a paradigm shift from the social, economical, or political environments, essentially, and being able to having that shift simultaneously. And in the digital era, what we're seeing is, like I said, more and more devices are being connected. We're seeing a shift in terms of more of a presence online. And so, because of that, as a society, we need to be able to accommodate to these changes as well. So, one way in which we're doing that is through 5G network speeds, to be able to accommodate to new technologies that are evolving in the digital era and to be able to accommodate to society as well. So, one way we're doing that is we're being a game changer when it comes to this industrial revolution. So, what we're seeing is that businesses are trying to now adopt 5G within their environments. And I'll give you an example of which one of some of them as well. So, for example, in car manufacturing, we're seeing that they're replacing their traditional devices with Internet of Things devices. So, now what we're seeing is that car industries are now using 5G enabled technologies in order to do their day to day business. So they're using smart factories. By doing this, it means that they'll have better connectivity to be able to do their jobs a bit faster and allow the factories to be able to take in the data and be able to process everything a bit faster. And also, what enables is that there's less wires involved when it comes to their devices being able to be connected together, because what they're using is that 5G technology to be able to connect the different devices or connect different pieces of different devices together. And again, that's just down to that speed. So one of the advantages of having that 5G enablement means that we don't have to worry about Ethernet cable or traditional networks. Instead, we're looking at having more of a smoother transition, more wireless transition to having these smart devices being able to connect together as well. So what we're seeing is that there's now we're able to unlock these new capabilities by having smart cities where we can have 5G enabled smart cities where they can connect different types of Internet of Things or smart devices, like let's say traffic lights. If they want to be, they could be smart traffic light systems or just general street lights that are enabled through the internet. Let's say there's also smart devices such as a light bulb in your home where you can be controlled from your mobile. So these are all devices that we can actually enable better connectivity through 5G. And with 5G as well, what we're seeing is it's more available, so that way we can enable that better connectivity across the board. One actual let's say another example that we're enabling 5G as well is through things like drones. So we're seeing more of these drones being 5G enabled, which means that what people can do is they can unlock those use cases where they can enable drones to be flown around the world remotely using a PC, a tablet, a joystick. It could be, again, it could be as long as it's connected to the 5G, which is enabled anywhere, they can start to utilize it. And this could help with use cases where, for example, their companies or people need to have aerial views of a specific area. If they want to be able to see how they can for example, in the film industry, they want to be able to film something that they're working on. Again, they can do that remotely in different areas. So now I just want to focus finally on how we at VMware are using a tech for good. So I want to show you this by showing a video on how this is being utilized, just to close off a little bit about how it's worked. I don't think we can hear the sound. Yeah, there's no sound coming in. But essentially, if there's no sound, I can just talk through it. So you can see here that there is this girl here, and she's being able to utilize different types of technologies with high-speed connectivities, and she's being able to do this using 5G. She's able to do things like talk to her mom, do different kind of lectures from remote locations as well. And it might not be, for example, in a... There we go.
In real time. Next summer, she's going to Shanghai. While her Mandarin needs some fine-tuning, nothing will be lost in translation.
Don't that sound fantastic?
Or en route, like that order of dumplings, delivered straight to her doorstep. When she's ready to head home, Charlotte can relax, while the car does the driving. She's growing up in a world far different, but not that far off. A world where Vodafone helps enable new things like drone delivery, augmented reality, and autonomous driving. It's all part of the Vodafone network cloud of the future, which VMware helps keep scalable, secure, and fast. VMware, realize what's possible.
So yeah, I just wanted to close on that. As you can see, we have a partnership with Vodafone to be able to enable their business to deliver faster 5G network services across the world. But yeah, that's something that in a way which we are actually using technology for good, so we can enable other industries to be able to do that the same for other people around the world. But thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much for that. That was such a great session, really exciting stuff, especially the whole view of what our future could look like through AI and machine learning. That's really, really exciting. So we can actually kick off with some questions from the audience. But just as a reminder for everyone who's joining, if you have any questions about Code First Girls, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll try and get back to you. I'll also put a link to some Code First Girls events and other courses as well. So as well as this video will actually be up for 2 weeks, so feel free to rewatch it and take any additional notes that you'd like to. So one of the first things that I wanted to actually kick off with is, where do you actually see the future for AI and machine learning, and where do you sort of see it going?
That's an interesting question. I think it's the art of possible. We'll continue to see the innovation at its highest speed ever. We'll continue to see new and more complex and innovative ways of doing things, just because we're now able to do things differently and it's so much more accessible than it was in the past. It's a little bit like an exponential growth curve. So it takes a long time at the beginning and it's a really long and painful process. But we at this stage where it just starts ramping up, and we'll continue to see so much more now at such a higher pace, and the rate of change of innovation is just going to be amazing. So stay tuned is what I'd say.
That's really awesome. So one of the other questions that I sort of wanted to get into for everyone who's sort of joining is, how does someone actually get into AI and machine learning, and where do I start? What sort of courses can I take? What sort of projects can I do?
So there's a lot, obviously, on YouTube, on the internet. I would say depends on what's really piqued your interest. I would say do some research on the internet first. There's so many good places where you can actually get started. But for me, I prefer watching videos. So I always go to YouTube as the first place. And Google is really one of the major drivers in terms of AI and machine learning. And they do make quite a lot, huge amount of what they do publicly available for free. So I would definitely say have a look at the resources that Google do, because they were the ones who actually invented a specific chip called the tensor chip that enables the processing of huge amounts of data for machine learning and artificial intelligence.
Amazing. So I guess we can sort of bring this into the other two fields as well, of augmented reality and 5G. How do you sort of get into that? And sort of where did you guys start before you started this journey?
I can go first. I've always had an interest in like learning about new technologies. I've always been passionate about that as well. So for me, it's been always a case of, okay, 5G is something that's new, it's exciting, and I always like to stay up to date with the newest technologies when it comes to it. So for me, when I started, I actually did my own research about the topic. Again, you can go on YouTube or just there's loads of blog posts as well, basically trying to explain the 5G topic to, like, let's say 5G for dummies type thing. So for me, it was about looking at that. And then at VMware, we also have a 5G team that, for example, if you want to express your interest as an employee, we can actually get involved with projects in these kind of areas, whether it be AI and ML or AR, VR, or even 5G. So that's another way we can kind of get into it in terms of the industry.
For me, I first got into AI and ML through a documentary that I watched. So someone on my team once told me, "Oh, have you seen the documentary? It was on Netflix called AlphaGo. I think it's now on YouTube." And I'm someone who doesn't actually watch documentaries, and I found it very, very interesting. And I watched it till the end, and I absolutely loved it. And ever since, I've been so interested in it, like to see. It's, if you don't know about, no, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it, but it's about a game of Go. So it's an ancient Chinese game, and how the computer, without spoiling it, if it can or can't beat the game of Go. Now, the reason this is so huge is because when you play chess, there's like a certain amount of moves that you can have, but in the game of Go, the number of moves is like thousands and thousands. Like it's very hard to predict what the person will choose to do. So for them to be able to like master that through a computer and to see, you know, how many attempts, and they played against like professional Go players and stuff. So when I saw that, I was like totally amazed at what tech can do. And then I'm also a gamer. I love playing games. So I just create a few games just on the side for fun. And recently I've been looking into how I can create games that require like AR glasses and VR glasses, and also it's just like my hobbies which have led me to this. But yeah, if you are interested, I'll definitely recommend watching the documentary on AlphaGo. Like, it's a great place to start.
That's really cool. I haven't actually seen it myself, but I'll definitely add it to the list.
Awesome.
I mean, moving on from that, just following on, what is the most exciting project that you've worked on in your area? And if you can just give us a little bit of a backstory about that.
It's quite hard to pick one. For me, it's the healthcare. It's really helping revolutionize the way cancers are detected. It's not part of my research from university. It was actually enabling the better diagnosis and earlier diagnosis of some of the most common cancers, both in men and women. And it is such a hugely gratifying experience to know that you were a small part of the team that made a difference. It's probably one of the top ones for me, definitely.
That's really cool. So I'm actually a scientist, a bioinformatician by nature. So a lot of what I do is bioinformatics, but on sort of cancer patient data. And currently what I'm doing is sort of machine learning to try and understand why some patients respond and why others don't. And I think that wouldn't have been possible without machine learning software, because the amount of data that you get in healthcare is incredible. So just having those sort of systems to stratify and classify patients is really cool.
I couldn't agree more.
For me, I'm a solution engineer, so I get to work with a lot of tech. But unfortunately, I don't get to do much with the emerging tech side of things, which I really do want to do. So, but the thing is, we do have, like I did mention very early on, we do have a project at VMware called Project VXR, and that's the kind of stuff that I'm trying to get involved with. So the good thing is, even though it's not part of my job, I do try and take part in whatever I can. Last year, when we have this offsite every year, where we talk about innovation, and I got to speak about 5G like Mamuna did at the offsite. So that was a really exciting project for me, because I got to do lots of research. I got to take a lot of people's opinions, and it was more of a discussion than a presentation. So that was a really exciting thing that I got to do whilst I've been here.
I think for me, I've kind of focused a little bit on, I'm also a core solution engineer, so I focus on loads of different technologies as a whole. In terms of with the 5G space, I had the opportunity to collaborate with some of our 5G specialists to present something to our new graduates when they came. So that was really exciting because that enabled me to take some time whilst I'm doing my job to kind of learn about the technology in terms of in the VMware space. So that was really, really insightful, and I really enjoyed that. And even in the just generally in the emerging tech space, we have I love learning about AI and ML as well. So for me, I am also part of the project where I can actually learn about a little bit more about AI and ML in the space of VMware, learning about how we have collaboration with NVIDIA and with VMware, and I get to be a part of this really cool group of people who share their knowledge on the topic, and also give allow me to learn about that in a more kind of industry kind of space. So those are some of the things that I've been able to do whilst I've been here at VMware.
That's really exciting. And we've actually got a sort of situational based question from the audience. So it's a two-part question. I'll go through both parts. So I've been working in the charity sector for around 10 years, currently a project manager in the area of public mental health and changing careers into digital technology. What would your advice be for someone with experience for working and creating social impact, more broadly, starting out in tech for good industry?
So I wish Marie was with us at the moment, because she actually leads some of this. And one of the things that we do have is actually IT Academy. So there's a number of self-learning modules based on your interest, something that if you're interested, you have a go, you have an experience of it, you tinker with it. And also what it does, the more you learn, you actually get VMware certification as well. So it does give you credibility and opens doors, because you do need either experience, or you need exposure or education to get into that field. So that's certainly something I would recommend. And while we're talking, I'll go and dig out the links that you can have a look at, and all the details for the IT Academy.
Brilliant, that'd be great. I can add that onto the chat. So another sort of question is, it would be great to hear about what you think the biggest challenge is currently working in the industry.
I think for me, it's one of the challenges I find is keeping up with the technologies, because there's so much evolvement. It evolves so much that sometimes it's hard for me to keep up, because as soon as I learn another one comes out, and then another one. So I love learning about it. Sometimes it can just be a little bit challenging to keep up, but I enjoy the challenge. So yeah, that's something I find.
For me, it's a bit of a weird one, but agreeing that every single tech advancement is, or trying to think that it's always good. Like, I have these internal battles between myself, that when, for example, when first ever Google Maps came about, I was someone who'd never used it, turn my data off, everything. I was like, they're tracking me, they want to know everywhere. And now I'm like, I use it every day. I'm like, this is amazing how, they know exactly where I'm going. They'll tell me exactly how long it takes. So it's, as tech gets increasingly better, like, robots, and like, you can have like humans who are now robots, and like all of that kind of stuff. It's just knowing how I feel about the tech. I think that's, and especially when you're trying to promote it or talk about it, is how I feel about it. It's a bit of a challenge that I have personally, just with myself, more than anything.
Amazing. So one of the other sort of questions that we've had coming up is, how do you think someone can excel in this field without a computer science degree? But at the same time, if you guys can just give us a little bit of background, what sort of education you've done to get into the role that you currently have as well, that would be great.
Yeah, happy to go first. So I think I can really relate to this one, because even though I did a computer science degree, I wasn't the best. Like, I wasn't the best coder. I really struggled with my degree. Like, in the end, just about got through it. But what I did was I actually took part in courses online on things that was interesting. And this wasn't just coding. It was more around like project management in IT, hardware. Like I did electrical engineering as well. I did software engineering. Like I did all sorts of stuff. And I showcased all the different courses and qualifications and certifications I got on my CV. And I think that was of interest when I was applying for jobs. Even though, because I never, even though I had a computer science degree, I never actually focused on the degree itself. I focused on my certifications, and I did focus on my experience, like all the different things that I've had the chance to be part of. So, like I did an internship. So a bit of background on me is I did a computer science degree at City University. I did a sandwich course, so I did it for 2 years, and then I took a break and did an internship at VMware as a project manager. And I loved it. I loved the company. I loved what I did. And I thought, oh, maybe I am good at tech, but I'm not just the best coder. So then I went back, did my 3rd year, did much better because I was much more motivated. And then I came back as a solution engineer, where I get the best job. I get to talk about tech, I get to learn about tech, and I don't actually have to implement it, which is the best part about this job for me, because that's what I enjoy. But there's jobs out there where you get to implement the tech and you actually get to go like hands-on. So you have that choice. So you don't always have to be part of the building side of things. You can be part of the just learning about and speaking about it. And yeah, that's what I got to do. And I think that's how you can excel. Just like experience, interest, show your personality, show what you like. You don't need to have the best grades or anything. Like, I think that's more than enough.
For me, if I say, okay, I can go next. So for me, I actually studied law for a year before I kind of pursued a career in tech. So I was really focused on learning about law, learning about the processes. I was super passionate about it. And then my passion slowly started to die when I was actually studying, because I realized that realistically, this isn't I didn't see myself actually pursuing a career in the field. Although I did enjoy it, it just wasn't something that was realistic for me. And that's when I had no prior experience to IT or tech. I wasn't exposed to it. When I thought of IT, when I first looked into it, I thought Excel spreadsheets, and I wanted to avoid that. But I actually thought, let me just jump the gun. Let me do a degree. I actually did a degree in computer science in the end. I thought, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not a Excel spreadsheet 101 for the next 3 years. But just like Ambi, I actually did a sandwich year. So I actually did 2 years, and then I did an internship, and then a final year as well. So it was in total 4 years. But for me, even though I did do a computer science degree, I didn't have to have prior knowledge of the technologies before. And that is something I did learn in my degree. But I have come across so many different people who have actually pursued a career in tech, and they didn't have any kind of experience in the degree at all. What they did have was grit and passion, and actually went out their way to learn about the technologies that they were interested in, and see the different career paths that they can actually potentially go into. And again, you don't need to have a coding background to go into the tech field. You can like Anvi and myself, and even Maya, we don't have to code as part of our role. It's something that we're passionate about technology, and we get to explain that passion and teach others about that technology that VMware can give. And that's something that's rewarding. So in summary of all of this, you don't really need to come from a technology background. You can really you can just go out of your way and learn about the different technologies. And there's loads of free courses online and YouTube videos where you can actually learn about the technologies and certifications that are available. So once you kind of build on that knowledge and build that for yourself, you can start to pave a way for yourself to kind of go into that tech industry.
That's so true. And I'm a hiring manager, and I can honestly say degree is really not important. I'll just echo what the ladies have said. It's really about, are you a problem solver? Are you curious about technology? Are you good at, do you have aptitude for problem solving? And you just need to be interested, honestly, especially for the graduate intake, interns. You'd be amazed. Absolutely, such a huge diversity of backgrounds, and there's absolutely no pre-requirements that you've ever coded or want to code. In fact, I've never coded, never, and I've been working in this industry for over 20 years, so you really don't need to. So yeah, absolutely, all you need is just a little bit of interest.
That is so amazing to hear, because this is especially what Code First Girls really believes in, where you don't necessarily need to have the background, but you just need to have the interest, you need to have the grit of just learning a new skill and taking the leap into tech. So sort of just moving on from that, what is it like working for VMware? What's the company like? What's the sort of environment like as well?
Can I
Not
go
sure if you
first?
see all our faces, but we're all smiling. I'm just saying, we're all smiling, so that's definitely a positive side. But yeah, sure, go for it.
So I actually joined as a graduate over a year and a half ago at VMware, and for me, I joined. So my experience will probably be a little bit different from everyone else here. So it's like my first stepping stone to my career in tech. So I actually the graduate program was actually based in Barcelona for the UK graduates, alongside with other graduates across the Europe region. So I had the opportunity to actually go to the assessment center based in Barcelona and get to meet the hiring managers, and meet the other kind of people that work in VMware, whether it be in the recruitment. And honestly, the experience was just amazing. And I thought it was too good to be true, with the way things were going. Um, However, what happened was COVID had hit. So for me, I was like, is this job still going to be there for me when is it still going to be there? Am I still going to have this opportunity? And thankfully, what happened was VMware decided to do everything remotely for a few months. So as part of the job, I actually had to relocate to Barcelona, but that got postponed because of COVID. So the experience I thought was not going to be as good if I was to join remotely, because how am I going to meet the other graduates? How am I going to be able to really excel? Am I going to be productive working from home? But honestly, the experience has been like top tier throughout, from the beginning up until now as well. Like, I was able to connect with graduates across the globe, like from the US, from the Middle East, from Europe, across, and you make loads of different connections with different people, even when you are remote. And I got involved with so many different initiatives as well. So one thing that I feel like VMware hasn't limited me on is, for example, if I have a passion for something, they tell me to go for it. Like, they give you the opportunity to do that and connect you with people, no matter what their ranking is in VMware, to be able to help you pursue a project that you might have, or if you want to have mentoring from specific people, you can have that as well. So again, the experience has been phenomenal, and you get to really meet such diverse amount of people in the business. So for me, it's been, yeah, it's sometimes I when people ask me as well, I say pinch me, I'm dreaming, because it feels like it's too good to be true, but it's really not. Like, it's amazing working here.
Yeah, I can literally just echo what you just said. I agree with everything. If you guys are on Instagram, do follow the VMware Instagram page. I think it gives you a very good insight as to what it's like to work at VMware. When I first applied, that's what I did. I checked them out on Instagram. I was like, oh, this looks like a really cool company to work for. So I went there for my internship, and I came back as a graduate because I loved it so much. Anyone you ask, they'll say they love the company culture. Now, this is very hard to explain unless you're inside of VMware, but everyone will say it's the most, it is an amazing place to work. Like, people treat you like, even though I'm young, I was a graduate, I was an intern, I never felt like I was at the bottom of like a food chain. I was given the respect. I was given a lot of responsibilities, even as an intern, to bring like money for the company. You genuinely, there's no hierarchy. Like, if you even see me on like LinkedIn, I've done sessions with the CTO, like, and very casually, like, I can message our CTO, who is Joe, and just ask him a question or talk to him. Even Mamoon has done the same. It's not like, oh, you have to, you can't, there's like fear that, this is like someone big in company, you can't speak to them. There's literally no hierarchy. It's a very, very nice place to work. Like Mamuna, I started off in Ireland. I was there for a year and a half. I got to meet people from all around the world, made really good connections, made new friends. Every other year, we get to have like a tech summit, which is where the whole company, like if you're working in tech and sales, gets to meet up, and you get to meet these people again and again. Like, and it's just amazing. Like, people see what I do and they're like, I can't believe this is your job. And I'm like, I can't believe it either. I get to stand up, talk to people about stuff I love. I get to talk about tech. I get to get involved in whatever I feel like. My job description isn't limited to like 5 or 6 lines. I can do anything that I'm interested in, and it's just amazing. Like, you have to experience it. But yeah, if you have like Instagram, LinkedIn, or whatever, just follow VMware, and you would see all the amazing stuff you get. We do. There's like pages on like graduate stories, intern stories of how their experience has been. If you want to know more about it, but it's just amazing. Yeah.
I don't know what else to add. Just you are really empowered to do what you feel is right, and they always say rather go out and seek permission. Well, rather than seek permission, ask for forgiveness. Basically, just go and do what you think is necessary, what you feel like doing, and really the hierarchy is not there. So beside amazing perks, it's very hard to add anything extra.
That is such a positive experience. VMware sounds like such an exciting place to work. I've added the links into the chat, as well as the YouTube channel link as well. I can add in the Instagram link, so feel free to go and check that out. So just as one final question to sort of end this off, what would be your advice to someone looking to get into this field, especially the sort of tech for good area as well? So just your one little nugget of advice.
I would say don't overthink it. Just go with your instincts. Whatever you think is really interesting, what tickles your interest, anything that you found in this session interesting, just go for it. Explore more. Connect with the relevant people. Do some of the research. Get some hands-on exposure. Tinker with technology. So don't overthink it. That's something that we as women tend to do a lot.
I think I would echo what Maya said as well. So if you have like a passion for any type of technology, really go for it, and really go out of your way to learn about it. And like Maya said, get that hands-on experience as well. I think that's really important, because it gives you the real life realities of what that technology does, and then you understand a little bit more about how that technology is used for good. And also networking is such a key part of the kind of tech for good space and going into that field, because when you know people who can like guide you and become a mentor for you as well, in terms of learning about that technology and giving you the right kind of pathway in terms of how you can get to that goal, really does help, because it enables you to really learn about that technology in a way that could be quite useful for you too. So that's something that I would say.
Again, echoing on what the ladies have said, but just show your interest. Like, if you're interested in something, just go for it. You don't need to be good at it either. So never ever doubt yourself, because like Maya said, us women do doubt, or like if we see a job description, if we don't tick all the boxes, we normally don't apply. Okay, like, and a lot of times I'm like, now I'm starting to learn that, you know what, you don't need to tick all the boxes. If I'm interested in something, just go for it. You'll learn it. Like at VMware, even when I first started, I didn't know half the stuff that we do here, but you learn it. They teach you everything you need to know, so you don't need to be good at it or anything. If you're interested, just go for it, explore, and yeah, it will normally work out for you. Even in job interviews, if you think about 30 people applying and they all have a computer science degree, how are you going to stand out? You show them all the cool stuff you've got involved in, all the stuff you're interested in. That's how you're going to stand out. And yeah, just, I think that's all I can say, really.
And you've already done the first step by joining this session this evening, so you're well on your way.
Thank you so much for an incredible session, everyone. Obviously, this video will be up for 2 weeks after this, but I just wanted to say thank you to our presenters as well. That was really insightful, really exciting. The culture and the positive experiences that you all share from VMware is super, super exciting. We've added all the links into the chat as well, so feel free to have a look. And please do check out any other Code First Girls courses or MOOCs that we have coming up towards the end of the year. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.